Okay, good evening, everyone. We started today's session, which is in the practical help session for assignment 4. But before that, I just want to say few words so we understand when we start. The thing is the course has been very intense, is integrating different fields, and sometimes it is very easy to miss the idea of what we are doing. Some of you still are struggling to understand why we are talking about AI, why we are talking about cognitive, what is going on, how is this big data. So I hope most of you have read the material in the classroom. Just want to point out that in these 3 weeks, we are talking about the contemporary AI. This is not the hype of this general artificial intelligence, which has started the research in the 50s. We're talking about the contemporary evolution of a very practical field, which is the contemporary AI. Very practical, based on what is available and is based on big data in machine learning. That's why we are focusing in this topic in this class. In short, you have the lecture, you can revise it. I'm not going to repeat everything there, just going to point to the most important. Big data permitted that machine learning has evolved today as a very powerful field which can deal with data and bring useful outcome from the data. Based on this, the evolution of big data altogether with machine learning is the heart of the contemporary AI. The contemporary AI today you will see very much indistinctly using the same way as machine learning and AI, like it's the same thing. Not actually, we have some diagram in the classroom, but contemporary, we are talking about very practical, related with a specific application, AI application, specific, not general. If we are training some application in the field, for instance, to do some healthcare problem, you cannot expect that is going to work in different field, like in finance, in other area. The same thing is with the application of cognitive analytics, the Watson application you are exploring today. When you train them with some data, you can expect reliable result, but with the data you trained them in this specific application, you cannot expect a result in any other area. For instance, you can explore the Watson um, visual recognition application. And if you train this with images related with plants, you cannot expect that this same model is going to recognize construction or any other area. So that is the point I want to make, that we are talking about very specific application today. This is the stage of AI in which we are living, and is the stage which we are exploring, working, and making any practical application which can provide advantages to different area of our life, businesses, and so on. So one of these area is a chatbot, which is the specific application we choose to do something practical. So in addition to study the subject, we do some practical application. Of course, it cannot cover everything we study. Is very practical, which is the chatbot. The usefulness today, many businesses find for customer satisfaction or any other area. And that is the practical thing you are doing in assignment 4. So with no more, if there are questions up to here for clarity, I will be happy to answer. You can unmute yourself or post in the chat. And after that, we continue with the practical part of the session. Any question? I don't see anything in the chat. Do you see, Elena? No, Elena?
Oh, I don't. Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, okay. I don't see anything in the chat. So.
Okay, that's good. We can continue then. I'm going to stop sharing and give you the presentation of the practical advice you have, because there are so many concepts to do this practical work, and is as much as possible, try to do your chatbot as intelligent as possible, let's put it this way. So with no more, Elena.
Yeah, but honestly, nobody in this class, nobody in a week is gonna be do something as detailed as what you are shown. But in both sessions, there was a recording posted from last semester. The reason I'm saying that is that there is no need for me to repeat everything that's in the classroom already. But here, this is the agenda. What you're doing here is that we are trying to apply the chatbot terminology to build Mr. BMI chatbot. Well, I just decided to call this. You want to call your chatbot something fun, something that is related to you, so to speak. So another difference between this assignment is that for your other data assignments, you receive the data sets to work on. For this one, no such a thing. It's going to be your topic. You need to do something. It could be your hobby or something along that line, you know. Okay, so now here, this is important. Your chatbot must be ready 3 days before the assignment is due. Oh, yes. Because this is what's happening. You're asked to integrate the chatbot with Discovery service because the chatbot may not be able by itself to answer some certain questions. Well, not that it cannot, but the thing is when you develop the text response, you're hard coding the response, but it may or may not be the latest guidance. So you want your chatbot to be able to pull from the latest version of question and answer, right? So that's the reason why you're integrating it with Discovery service. In Discovery service, you build in the repository. And at least for me, it took to run the whole night. Then the last 2 days, you have to do an experiment. So there's a link that you're going to share to your friends, family members, and you can also ask TA to run your chatbot. And the chatbot will be collecting conversation data that you ask to analyze in your paper, okay? But that step takes a couple days. So your assignment is going to be due what on the 10th, right? So just look at it this way. Let's say on Saturday night you should be running the service to build the repository. No, you don't need to sit at your computer all night, but you have to do it. Oops, am I sharing? Am I sharing? Something happened.
Yes, you are sharing.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, okay, thank you. Okay, anyhow, what I was saying, all right, make sure your IBM account, cloud account is active, and please, please, please do not enter your credit card, okay? And you don't want to contact IBM, please don't do it. You need to contact us, right? You need to submit a ticket through us, the way you've been doing it all the semester. Now, your chatbot walkthrough has exercises, and I'm going to show you the solution to the last exercise, okay? Now, the chatbot must be your original work. What does it mean is that you cannot turn on Mr. BMI and you cannot turn on Mr. Cold. If you do that, well, you know the outcome, okay? So please don't do that. Now, you need to turn in the JSON file. If the JSON file is missing, the instructor cannot grade your chatbot because he or she cannot validate the work. Okay. Now, the only mistake you can make here is not asking for help. Okay. What I did here for you, I did you a favor. I put together this list of must-know terminology. If anything on this list does not make sense, you need to go back to the readings. If anything on this list sounds unfamiliar, you need to go back to the reading. And this list is not exclusive, but those are the basic chatbot terminologies. Now, and here, as Elena already went over what the chatbot is, well, bot is just a general system, right? It solves specific problem. It does something automatically, right? But the chatbot, you're gonna add the word chat. It understands the language, right? So you talked about this, but let's look at the high level of what you're doing for this assignment. You're going to define the application general purpose, and you're going to list the scenarios, right? You're going to build the flow diagram, and I'll show you. Then you're going to use the service to implement the chatbot, right? After that, you're going to train your application, and you're going to do some of the training is done by you during the development, and then after that, you're going to send the link, and what you'll do is you're going to create a virtual assistant, right? Add a dialog skill. Then you're going to use Watson Discovery service because you want to search for the latest collection of documents, right? Then, well, application deployment in this case is the assistant that you're creating. Then you're gonna send a link, right? You're gonna add a search skill first, then you're gonna send the link. You're gonna monitor the conversation log. Then you want to identify the limitation of your current implementation, and you're gonna suggest perhaps what you can do next to improve, right? Like for example, you could implement the mobile application. You could make your chatbot work on a cell phone, something like that. Okay. Now, this is the whole idea here is a Mr. BMI chatbot application. The user could go in and they could enter the blood pressure readings, and it will tell what the readings mean. Then it's going to do the calculation on what your body mass index is. And it's a free service, and you don't need to schedule an appointment. It's available 24/7. All right. So now those are just the benefits of the chatbots, and those are applicable to this application as well, right? So it's friendly, and it also gives consistent answers. If I put the blood pressure readings, right, and it's gonna tell me if my blood pressure is normal or if it's high, etc. And if Linesh put the same readings, it's gonna give him the same recommendation, right? It's consistent. Okay, now this is a conversation scenario that we were talking about. Let's say it's welcome. I have 3 doctors here. Well, I made it up. I have 3 doctors in my practice, and I put their schedules, right? And I call them Miss Stethoscope, Mr. BMI, Mr. Monitor. And the doctor on duty is going to welcome the user, and it's going to show you the menu. This is what's going to see. Then you're going to click on one of the options from the menu. Okay. Oops, I thought I saw there was a question, but for some unknown reason, I'm unable to. Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay. Oh, yes. So yes, that's what I'm talking about. I'm gonna show you quickly the scenarios. Okay, so here it is. You're gonna be presented with this list of options. You can estimate BMI. You can do things like what is BMI, right? But the guidelines the guidelines always change, right? So you want to read the latest articles. You don't want to hard code everything, right? And so this about the blood pressure. Then you have an option to email the information and exit. Okay, so there we go. Welcome to scenario. Estimate the BMI. So what I'll do, I think it's easier for me to actually show what's going on. So I'm going to go ahead and refresh, right? And see this, it missed stethoscope, but since now I'm running this application at a different time, I see the Mr. Monitor, because it shows a different doctor based on the time. Okay, so here is the image type of response, and this is the option type of response, right? So each option has a display text and a value. The value is an intent that gets triggered when you select this option. So, for example, if I'm wondering what is BMI, look, this is what's gonna happen right now. Okay, see this? It's gonna give me this chart, right? It's gonna give me this description is hard-coded, and then here, those are the articles that it found useful. And I can click on this, I can do show more, it's gonna give me more information. And then I can click on this, and it's gonna open the article itself in a new window, okay? So that's a web page that I put, WebMD, and it's a very good articles on medical issues. Okay, so this is one of the scenarios where I select an option, what is BMI, and the chatbot shows me this information. Okay, this is one scenario. Another scenario would be this. I want to estimate BMI. Here, I'm making an assumption that my height is in inches, right? So let's just say like this. And the weight is going to be in pounds, just an example. And now it's going to tell you if you are healthy or not. That is it. Well, for some unknown reason, it's not showing the menu, but okay, anyway. See this? So this is one of the scenarios. And what I did in here, I'm just showing you, right? This is a scenario. Notice this number, this is a system entity. I can enter, I can put 65 and it's still gonna read a number, okay? So those are the conversation scenario. Same as for the blood pressure, okay? So I want you guys to watch the last semester recording where I go into very small details of this. And the presentation was 1.5 hours long, okay? So see this conversation scenario, explain BMI. Same thing, it's gonna show me the articles that it thinks are the most relevant. And where does it come from? Discovery service, right? Because you don't want everything hard-coded, okay? And this is email me the information. So let's do this. I'm gonna refresh now. And what I'll do is this. Look, I'm gonna say email me the information. And now I'm gonna put something like, I'll just put the word Elena, see what's gonna happen. It's gonna throw that it's an error. It's gonna put an error. Please try to enter the valid email address. How is it being checked? It's a regular expression, right? It's a pattern entity that checks if the email is valid, right? Well, it's not gonna necessarily check if it's an existing email address, but it's gonna look for the @ sign, etc. Okay. So now what it's gonna do, it's gonna echo this email address, right? And it's gonna just do this display, and then again the menu, because maybe you wanted to do something else, and exit. If you looked at this application when it was posted during the weekend, you would have seen a different message in here. You would have seen have a nice weekend. And now you see, it was nice to assist you this Monday. Where does it come from? See, this is a day of the week, right? Because I'm using the date, system entity. I'm extracting the current date, right? Current day of the week. You're asked to use system entities, all right? So it could be day or it could be location. Well, it depends on what you're doing in your application, okay? So I hope I answered the conversation scenario questions, right? So this is all based on when you run in the application. You're gonna get the different messages. So this is called, it was called conditional responses, okay? The response depends on certain conditions. Like in this case, it could be day of the week, or it could be time of the day, right? So let me see the questions. Okay, what is a good program for this images, Barry? Oh, for images. Okay, I'll show you what I did. I searched the Google, I searched the Google and then I took the image link. But make sure that the link ends with JPG or PNG, something like that. Because you cannot just copy paste an image, you have to take the URL, right? So, but what I did was you can do the Google search for the images, and this is where I found those guys. But for this one, you need to use the Microsoft Visio is a recommended product, okay? Yeah, you're looking for the address that said image address. Thank you, Jane. Yes, that's right. All right, then here, I did it, I use Microsoft Visio, and as a student, you have a free student download. So nobody in this class can tell me that you don't have access to it. Yes, you do. You have Visio because you can download it for free as a student. Okay. Okay. Yes, excellent. Thank you. Yes. And then you get the image URL. Yeah. Okay. Now, so basically what you need to do, well, I hope all of you already done this part by creating a new skill, but the only thing that could be slightly new is this. Some of you may want to try out the chatbot that, well, you received the JSON file in announcement, hopefully, right? Some of you would want to import it. So to import it, you're gonna do this. You're gonna go create skill, and then you're gonna choose this one, the dialog skill, right? And you're gonna do next. And then what you're gonna do is you need to say import, and then here you're gonna choose the JSON file that you saved, okay? This is how you would do it. And this is in fact what your instructor would do to evaluate your assignment for submission. The instructor will take the JSON file and will import here to actually validate if what you submitted actually matches the description in a Word document, okay? All right. Okay. Okay, the JSON file, no. No, what you'll need to do is you're gonna need to submit the JSON file. I'll show you how to export it. The file was sent to you by email. Okay, no problem. Okay, so in session 9040, right, the file was sent by email. Oh yeah, because I did not, I have to check, okay? But yes, the JSON file is a file that is actual implementation, okay? So let's see how you get this thing. This is important. I'm gonna go and close this out. Look, this is a skill that I created. All right, I'm gonna click on ellipsis here, and I'm gonna do the export. Oops, export. And when you do that, it saved the JSON file, and it saved it wherever you specified your default download folder. Again, it depends on the browser. Okay, and that's a file that you would need to submit with your assignment for. So now, how many people here cannot count until 2? Well, I'm asking because the submission has to have 2 files, right? Some people don't follow, Oh, this is a search skill. I just called it like this, but see, for this you cannot export. For this one you cannot export. What you're gonna do is you're gonna export only the dialog skill, and also in your paper you're gonna include the preview link, and I'll show you what that is. Hold on, I thought I had a question. Oops. Okay, the JSON file for no. The JSON file is for graded. Alana, when you submit your assignment for, you're gonna develop the your own chatbot, right? When you're done with the chatbot development, you need to go back to the skill and you need to export your you're gonna need to export this, right? You're gonna need to do this and export. But there are a couple JSON files we are talking about. Okay, I'll explain. There are a couple JSON files we're talking about. There is a JSON file with a solution for the cold symptoms check, right? Then there is another JSON file that if you have not received it, you will, for the Mr. BMI Health Center. Okay, I thought it was posted in session 9041. Okay, now, okay, no problem. Well, we are using discovery service integration because sometimes I want my chatbot to return the guidelines, right? Let me give you a real life example. You know the CPR, right? They say you have to do 30 compressions followed by 2 breaths, right? Right now, because of COVID, the new guideline is you can do the compressions only, right? So something like that. Depending on what question is, you want to be able to pull the latest and greatest guidelines. So you use the discovery service integration that will build the repository of the articles, and it will refresh, and it will refresh at the frequency that you specify. Okay, you specify how often you want to refresh it, and then it's going to run your search, and it's going to bring up the latest and greatest articles, right? Like, for example, yeah, I do not want to hard code like 30 compressions and 2 rescue breaths, because that's no longer the case. You can just do compression only CPR. It's just an example. So you want to pull latest and greatest. Okay, no problem. Well, this is a search skill. I should have used a different descriptive name, but now let's see. But those all are excellent questions. So that's a skill, and I spelled out. I'm not going to repeat what an intent is, okay? But this one, email, is a special entity. All right. This is a regular expression, and there is no magic here. I took it from documentation. And that's what I recommend you guys do, because this is not cheating. This is code reuse, okay? Code reuse is fine. But if you're submitting the chatbot that I developed here, then this is a cheating, because then instructor has to add a new line to the gradebook and call it Yelena, Okay, so see this? This is a little bit tricky. You have to create an entity here, and I called it valid email. And in here, this is a pattern. Now, you can have the pattern entity could have more than one value. Let me give you example, the phone number. You can have the local phone number, and you can have an international phone number. You got 2 different patterns, okay? So you can have more than one value. But this is a pattern. There is no synonym, right? There are no synonyms. It's a pattern, okay? Now let's go back. Well, actually, let's select this. Yeah, it's a pattern, and you can add another one. Well, for email you won't, but for the telephone phone number, that's when you're gonna have more than one. Okay, I'm gonna go back here, and also you have the intent, right? You have the intent to send the email. Okay. Now let's go back. Quickly go back. And one of you said that there are no JSON file. I believe that was attached to announcement. You just need to right click and download. Okay. You need to download it from announcement. Okay, let's see. All right. Oops. If something is missing, then it's gonna be sent. Oh, see, that's the thing. I try to put the full screen, but then I'm unable to see. All right. Okay, no problem, no problem. All right, so I'm not going to repeat this, but this basically are the notes, and I'll let you have the notes. Okay, as I was putting this together, I was writing the notes, and I'm gonna let you have them, okay? Those are the system entities that I'm using in here. The date, right? Where am I using the date? Because I want to display different, I want to see different picture, right? Different image, depending on what time of the date is. Then I'm showing the day of the week, right? So the dates and time, and then the number is for reading the blood pressure readings from the input, right? Etc. Right? So this one I'm not going to repeat. These are just the notes. I'll let you have them. All right. Those are the non-negotiable vocabulary. You must know what is a welcome note. You must know what is anything else note. Your conversation that you submit must have welcome note at the top, anything else note at the bottom. This is non-negotiable. If you don't have this, well, then you show that you did not apply the concepts. Okay, now those are the components of the note, right? And this is what to do after the response, right? Do after at the end. The note has a condition at the end. What you want to do? You want to wait for an input, or you want to go to another, the response of another node, etc. Okay, the jump to. All right, so this is a conditional response, and I'm gonna go to the welcome note. Well, what I'm showing you guys is, well, since we cannot stay here until morning, I have to prioritize. And the way I decided is that I'll show you the harder stuff, right? I'll show you the harder stuff. So, oops, okay, I'm trying to zoom in. The way it's done is this. Now, right, that will take the current time before, and that's the time it taken the military time. If it's now before the 10, then I have to do this. There are two response type. If it's after this, I do this. Anything else is a default. Well, basically, look, here before 10, it actually means that between midnight and 10 a.m. This is after 5, right? After 5 p.m. Then anything else is going to be between 2. Oops, yes, it's going to be between 10 and 5, right? So that's going to be anything else. And those are the responses. And then when I click here, I can see details of my response configuration. Here are the response variations, because I don't want my chatbot to be a parrot. It's like when I run it, I say, greetings, my name is Mr. Monitor, how may I help you? Everybody who runs this chatbot is going to see the same message. No, you want to do some variations. So you add the paraphrasing in here, and then you want to specify how you want this to select. You want it sequential, right? So the second time it's going to select the second one, third time, right? And then go back. Or you want it to be random, right? So that's going to be your choice. Okay, but I showed you the hardest. Yeah. Did you say something? Did anyone say something? No. Okay. And in here, this is the variable. This is where I extract and show and store the day. Okay. So we don't have what is? Oh, what do you mean 3 bots? 3 pictures? No. You don't have to have 3 pictures. Well, look, your application is going to be your application. This is not going to be Yelena's application, all right? Well, you have to have, yes, you have to have a variation in the welcome note, for sure. You have to have a different ways to respond. See, there are certain things. The response variation is a paraphrasing, right? Where conditional responses is a response based on a certain condition. Like based on the time of the day, I'm showing a different person, different message. For the variations, yes, you have to have each main node. You must have the different way of phrasing, because if you don't have that, then you show in the instructor that you are building a parrot instead of building user-friendly chatbot. Okay, you don't want to build a parrot. Okay, so let's say this way: every node at this level should have response variation. This is just basically saying the same thing in multiple ways. All right. So I can say, please complete your assignment 4. Please finish the assignment 4. Please do the major assignment 4, something like that. Okay, because you don't want it to be the same response all the time. Or it's like a broken record or like a parrot or something. Okay. All right, can you provide the time? What is coding? What do you mean provide the time coding? Can you explain this? Because I'm trying to see what do you mean the time coding? Because, well, what you do is under the value. For this one, let me explain you this one, what this one is. This is a context variable. what I'm doing in here is this. I'm pulling the date from the current date. See this? Reformat date time. This is just the syntax. This is how you extract the current date of the week from the date. I took all of this from the documentation. So in here, in the main menu, at the top, I'm defining the variable where I'm extracting the day, okay? And then at the very end, in the goodbye note, I'm displaying the day. I'm making the day to be part of the message. Well, you can do it differently, but in this specific application, it's done this way. And see this E, letter E for 5 times? It means that I want to spell the date completely. 3 times, it means the abbreviation. Well, basically, there is a documentation that comes with this, right? And I've been reading the documentation step by step and trying to see how to, add into it step by step. But what this is a context variable. You can do, there are multiple ways to do that in your walkthrough. You are showing how to do it by adding a piece of code, right? Opening up the JSON editor, you can do it this way, or you can do just you can just edit in the context. At the time when the walkthrough was written, there was no section called context, okay? So let's see. Yes, you have to have 3, you have to have you have to have response variations, right? Variation is just different way to say it, yes. In each main node, you have to phrase things at least 3 different times. This is a parent node. This is a parent node. This is a child node, right? So guys, remember this? Do you remember this? Is this in here? Is this on this list? I would have to add this. Okay, I would have to throw this vocabulary on this list. You need to know what parent node is, and you need to know what child node is. This is non-negotiable too, because parent. So if I collapse this like this, see this? Everything at this level is parent. When I expand it like this is a child for this welcome node. Okay, this is just hierarchy. So, okay. So it meant between, no, guys, no. Okay. Context variable is a variable. You can make them in a JSON file, or you can do it like this, just in the count. You can do it as a JSON, right? You can use a JSON code and copy paste the code. But the problem is, if the code has at least one syntax error, you won't be able to save the whole thing. But I can open JSON editor and I can edit it here. I can do that. Or I can close this and I can close this and I can open this. See this? I can open the context editor and I can do that. I can type it here. This one, well, at somewhere in the logic, I want to say this. I ask the question 5 times, and if the user still did not answer what I'm expecting, I can just stop, because you don't want to say like, please enter your email, please enter your email, please enter your email, and the user keeps entering wrong thing. After a while, you want to quit. So you need a counter, so to speak, right? And exit. Well, this example is very detailed. I'll tell you the truth. This started as just, in the beginning, it was a student's question. How do we read the number from the input? So it was just reading the values of the blood pressure and then outputting what the user entered. That was it. Later, with time, I was adding to it, okay? So you need to start slowly, and you're going to be revising your scenarios as you go. There are lots of concepts in here. So I'm telling you, I don't want you guys keep standing here all night. So what I wanted to go over was the most key stuff that sort of like comes from experience, things that you cannot read, right? That are not written. Okay. So what you can do in your leisure time, and I recommend that you go through this implementation, and please submit the ticket if you have questions. But for the options response type, I wanted to say this. This is similar to, I'm not sure how many of you have done HTML before. In HTML, you have a list where each option has a display text and it has a value, right? So in this case, value is an intent that's going to be actually triggered, right? It's equivalent to typing it. So if I type the word BMI, what's going to happen, right? But it's more user-friendly because you don't need to know what you need to type, right? It's you just select the option from the menu, it will do what you want it to do, right? You don't need to type. There is a greater likelihood that the bot will understand what you're trying to say. But anything else note, it sort of like catches the condition, right? It catches when it doesn't understand what the user enters. But the thing to keep in mind, it has to be the last node. It has to be the last node, okay, in a structure. Because if it's not, you show in the instructor that you misunderstood the concept, okay? Now, one thing that will help you as you are doing this, try it, is for testing the chatbot while it's still in the development. So see this, and as in the beginning, I'm going to look at the context and I'm going to see the variables that are defined at the moment. And see this is a day, it's Monday, right? Those are the variables that I have defined at the moment. So now when I do this, estimate BMI, when I'm going to enter my height, this is one way to test this. See this, it added another context variable, and I want to see what it is. See this? This is how you troubleshoot, okay? And then if I put something like this is relevant, it's going to ask me to re-enter. See this, how many pounds you weighed. See this? It asked me, it put an explanation, and it asked me again if I could do this. See, if it asked me again in another words, can you please do this? See, and it's, well, see the problem here? It repeats the same wording. That's the reason you want to have some variation so that it will explains a little bit differently. But what this is also the handler. So while it is collecting the information about your, see, look, it's collecting information from you on your weight, right? And suddenly you put the question mark, it thinks that you're asking it to explain something, right? This is if you look at the implementation, estimate BMI, I added the handler. So in other words, if you're not sure what you want to enter, right, it's gonna go to that handler, right? It's here. Oops, this is a response. This is a slot. Slot sort of like kind of like trying to force you to enter the number, right? And I added this handler here. So I have two things here. I should be able to exit, or in here, I'm just asking to explain. Right? If it catches it, if it recognizes explain intent while I'm in the middle of collecting information, I want the chatbot to respond with this, right? But again, you could add variation for this as well. See, you could add variation. Anything, wherever it's possible, you want to put variations, because otherwise it's going to be like a broken record, okay? And this is just basically how to output. This is a conditional response based on what you entered, and that's just a calculation. Well, the calculation is this: weight times 703 and divided by the weight squared. It's just the formula, okay? And this is just the syntax of how you output what was entered in the number. Well, this chatbot took a lot of time to develop. So I urge you guys to start early, because when you make one change, you have to retest everything. After you make one change, you have to retest everything. Okay, now I talked about that. Well, the thing is, please watch the recording from last semester, all right? Okay, see that this is a system date, system time, and those are the notes. And usually when I learn something, I take notes, and then here, when I do the walkthrough, I'll let you have this notes. So that's basically what the slides are for. Okay, those are the notes. The recording from last semester, yes, it's posted in announcement. I thought, I mean, it should be posted in announcement. If it's not, then we're gonna check. Okay, but guys, for you, what you could do is, yeah, you go to that. What you could do is you could set there are settings on your notification, and you could make it send yourself an announcement. You can make there is a setting, notification setting, where you can choose to receive an email or a text message when a new announcement is posted. Okay, so that way you won't miss the announcements. Okay, you want to make sure you don't miss any announcements. All right, so let's see. Well, context variables, all the definitions will go in a JSON file, but there are several ways you can define them. You can physically type in the code in the JSON editor, or if you put it in a context, the way I just did here, the code will be generated for you. All right. So we are trying to write less code as possible, right? But that won't be the case in most of the real world situation. Okay, so here you need to do the test. I'm running this in a try it window. This is just that's something that you would do as you are working on it. This is during the development stage. Okay. And I just put 2 tests, but I'll let you explore the other scenarios on your own. Okay, so you see this, it's recognizing the intents and the entities in the input, and based on that, it determines what it needs to do, the flow of the conversation. Now this is a fun part, what's in discovery. So you have a handout in the assignment folder. It shows you the steps on how to add the discovery service, right? It shows you the steps how to do that. Can you please post the slides tonight after this? Well, I'll try. So can I start working on some items tonight? Sure. Okay, sure. We will post as soon as we get the recording, because look, there are multiple steps involved here. The recording takes some time to process. After we're done with this, there is some processing on the server side that needs to be done before the recording can be downloaded. So, okay. Oh, okay, no problem. We'll do that, because I didn't change the slides from last semester. They're the same. Okay. Okay, we'll see. Okay, we'll see what we can do. Okay, no problem. Okay, let's see. So the whole idea is that you want to get latest and greatest, and you want it to refresh, right? So you're going to follow the instructions in the handout on how to create the service. But what I was going to show you is the hard part, is how to integrate, because I realized that it's a little bit complex. First thing first, what you'll do is you're going to create this search skill. I called it my service integration, but you don't necessarily have to call it this way. You're going to go to new skill. Well, the thing is you are limited to 5 skills. So the way you would want to do is that anything that you don't need, you're going to be removing, right? You can have up to 5 skills total. If it lets you add another instance of the service, then you're lucky. If it does not, then, so you would do this, you would go to skills, and then you're going to do the create skill. And now, okay, you're going to do create skills, and you're going to do select search skill. Oh, and also, this is really nice. You can watch this video. That will really be really helpful. You can watch this. Okay, now click next. Now here you're going to enter the search skill name, right? Well, I just put this. Then you click on demo. Right now, well, what it's going to do is that I already created my service, right? And I have this repository in my service. and then I'll just select this and click configure. But this is only if you already created the repository. If not, it's gonna give you an option to create, okay? Then you're gonna click configure. I'm not gonna do that because I already created my search skill. After that, after you created the search skill, you need to decide where are you going to call that skill in your main dialog, okay? Okay, can you please put, oh, okay. Okay, okay. Oh, what, how do you delete the skill? Okay, to delete the skills is this. Okay. Okay, to delete the skills is this right here. Well, I don't want to delete anything, but in general, to delete, you click here, and then you're gonna just you're gonna just select delete, okay? You're gonna select delete, and then it's gonna ask you to type in delete to confirm, okay? You cannot delete it for the search skill, or really? Here. And then it's gonna be, you're gonna get a confirmation box, and you would need to type a delete. Okay. Oh, I see what it is. I see what it is. More likely you have a search skill added to the assistant. If you already added your search skill to assistant, then to delete the skill, you have to remove it from assistant first. I see what's probably happening because there is a dependency, okay? Before you delete, you need to remove it from the assistant, okay? You have to remove it from the assistant. But what you're gonna do is this. Let's go to the thing. This is important. I need to show you how to call this thing. So look, I'm going to the dialog, right? And it's in here, information on a topic. And I've got in this folder, I grouped 2 nodes. Here it is, look, explain the BMI. And if I scroll down over here, you see there should be the response type, which is a search skill. Now, one of you who submitted the case, it was like this, see? You need to click on this arrow and you need to specify what are you searching for. Well, I just put body mass index. I was playing with the keywords in order to get what I need to be returned, right? So here I put body mass index, but you have to specify the query. Otherwise, you're going to get unexpected result, okay? You have to specify this. So this is the dialog where you call this search skill, right? But you cannot go here and test the search skill from here. What you have to do is you have to go to your assistant. You have to go to assistant. What you will do is this, you're gonna do create assistant, then you're gonna type assistant name. And then after you do this, see, you want to make sure that you enable the preview link, right? Then you go create assistant. And after that, okay, please ignore these actions for right now because this is new. And here, what it will do is you're gonna add the dialog skill. And now I'm gonna add this called symptoms. And then you're gonna add the search skill. Well, I'm not gonna do that, but I'm just showing you how to create an assistant. So this is gonna be our Mr. Cold, right? When you do it, what you'll do is this, you're gonna click on a preview link. Okay, and this is a link that you're going to send to your friends. This is a link that you're going to send to the friends. Okay, and your friend is going to do this, copy and paste, and run this for, well, there are steps that you need to follow. First of all, the day one, right? Your friend does experiments, and after that, you have to go get the you have to collect the data. And what do you do to collect the data? You have to go to here and you have to open a skill, right? And in this case, see my Mr. BMI, I have to click on a skill. And over here, there is a tab called analysis. As my users are interacting with my chatbot, this application here is collecting the analysis, such as number of conversations per day, what were the most common intents and entities, because this tells me how my chatbot is being used, right? And then I can click on this and I can see more details on the conversations. So you're asked to analyze this, right? But you have to have a screenshot of the overview page. You have to show that you in fact ran this experiment for 2 days, okay? The screenshot somehow must show that you were running the experiment for 2 days, because the whole idea is that you make changes after day 1 and then you want to see something, if anything has changed for your day 2, okay? Like, for example, if your chatbot prompts to enter a language, right? And suppose that I am testing a chatbot, I type Russian, and it did not recognize it as a language, then probably at the end of day 1, you're gonna go ahead and make some adjustments, right? And then when I run it on day 2, it's gonna recognize the language, right? And what do I mean by adjustments? Look, I'm going to look at the user conversations, and I can go in and I can click on the open individual conversations, and I can check what was actually entered, right? Sometimes, see, I entered this and it shows me which entity was recognized in a conversation. See this show classification. Sometimes it may interpret it incorrectly. So you can just go in, you can change the entity that it should have been, something like that. And you want to look at weak understanding, etc. So some of you mentioned that this is not covered in the classroom. Yes, it is. You need to go to the course content, right? And there is a link in there to the documentation for this. There is a documentation on how to create an assistant and how to do this, how to look at this analysis. And also what they did now, in that you saw that in the interface, look, I'm in the overview page. If you slide down, I thought I saw somewhere there was a link, watch the video. See this? You can watch the video too to learn more. See, well, actually, no, you don't need to worry about containment for this assignment. But what I'm saying is that there is a good documentation. Things like operations with a string, with dates. It's a matter of how to read documentation. That's the secret to success in here. Reading the documentation. Okay, this is what I was doing for the most part. Okay, and here basically as the settings, you specify how often you want this to refresh. Probably you don't want it to be refreshing every minute, Well, usually like once a month, once a week, And you trigger the search skill, you must call it from the dialog, in the dialog, okay? Well, here, this is just repeating, this is just repeating. All right, so you add the dialog skill and you add the search skill. Well, one thing that you won't be able to export is a dialog skill, but you need to export you won't be able to export the search skill, but your submission must include the links that you're sending to friends, because your instructor is going to take that link and going to run the chatbot to verify that somewhere you are calling the discovery service. Somewhere you're doing the integration, right? Okay, so that's a preview link. And here it spells out, since you want to do, you have to make sure your chatbot is ready 2 to 3 days, and you have to do, well, how many people should we share the link with? At least 2 or 5, but in theory, the more people run your chatbot, the better it is, because we have things in different ways, okay? Like, for example, we say restroom, but in Asian countries, they say washroom. Sometimes, they can say toilet. So something like that. You can have multiple ways to say the same phrase, right? Or like air conditioning, air can't. There are different ways to say things depending on where you are and depending on your background. So sometimes it helps you capture more words as possible, right? It helps it builds, it trains a chatbot, and that's a conversation log. And I promised to show the solution for that assignment thing. Remember you had an assignment, and I have the, I think the solution, was it posted? I need to check because, okay, let me close this. I'm gonna go back to skills. Here is a skill, and this is the cold symptom check. Well, what you were asked to do here is this. So here is your dialogue. You were walked through step by steps on how to do not feeling well. And then you were walked through the beginning part of the feeling well. You are asked to do this. If you're feeling well, it responds, I'm glad to hear that. Then in here, it's showing you, have you had a flu shot? And this is an option. It shows you yes or no, right? That's what it's basically doing. After that, you have to display, you have to respond based on what an individual typed. But also, at the same time, you want to make sure that whoever typed something answered the question, right? So for this reason, you have to have a slot in here, see? Feeling well, and oops. See this? I created this node, the child node, the entry condition is true, right? So that means, what that means is that right after it collected the answer to the question, or an attempt to answer the question, it's gonna go in here, it's gonna check if whatever I answered, right, is response. Oops, oh, those are the operators. This is a response, right? It's gonna check for if I answered the flu shot, right? Had a flu shot, and it's gonna store the response in the context variable. And if it does not recognize your answer, it's going to ask you again, okay? And if you look at this here, if it recognizes goodbye, you should be able to exit. I should be able to quit at any time, okay? Now, this is what? This is a conditional response. If you had it, then it's going to do excellent. If you did not, then it's going to do different message. And after that, we're going to go to response in the goodbye node, okay? So you have this solution. Maybe there is more than one way to solve it, but this is a solution. If you think it can be solved differently, I'm more than welcome to see I'm open to see alternative solutions, okay? I'm open to learn from students, okay? Let's say it this way. Now, the floor is open for questions. Well, I know that it is hard, yeah. So should we create the flow diagram before developing the dialogue? Well, in general, yes, but you're gonna be going back and forth. Let's say it, because I want you to start something simple, because the semester is not endless, okay? You want to make sure that you have something working, at least, you know. Well, of course, if you look at the requirement, your chatbot must demonstrate that the chatbot can read and process users' input, such as numbers, date, right? You want to do something with it, and you want to echo it, and you want to basically like parse it, etc. Right? Well, you have to have a search skills, yes, because, well, look, you create the dialogue, and then you have skills, then you have to create a search skill, because you need to, that's how you integrate the discovery service with the Watson Assistant service. And I think this is also, if you're concerned about the grade, which I call extrinsic reward, there is a big part of the grade, I think it's 10%, the integration of discovery service with the chatbot, right? So you have to create the skill, you have to create the search skill, then you call the search skill within the dialog skill, and then you add both dialog and search skill to the assistant, okay? You have to add the search skill. Yeah, well, do we have, yeah, that's 10 points, that's right. Do we have to add information to the search skill? Well, oh, okay. Well, the search skill is configured to connect to the repository. Your Watson discovery service, right? it runs, for me, it took all night to run, to build the repository. And then in here, when I go to the skills, this is the search. This is my search skill. It already configured to which collection it connects to, right? I configured the repository, well, and this is a collection name, see? Because when I do this, look, I can click on this, it's gonna open my discovery service. This will open the discovery service and it will show how many documents I have in the repository. I have 991 documents in the repository. So when this service is called, it's searching through these documents. And what are the documents? Those are the documents from WebMD webpage. WebMD webpage has a lot of articles on medicine, nutrition, immune system, etc. These are those are the tags. And if you want to, you can add your own content tag, right? So this is what you want to do. Where do you get the documentation for our, oh, well, okay, where do you get the documentation? That's a good question. It depends on the topic. So that's why I suggest that you pick the topic related to your hobby, something that you read about. Like, for instance, I'm interested in fitness stuff a lot. So WebMD, this is medical stuff. And for the fitness, another one is good at NASM.org and ASM.org. That one has a lot of fitness articles as well. So it depends on the topics. You want something that has a bunch of, like a hub that has a bunch of articles, or something site that has a bunch of questions and answers. All right. Well, you tell me the topic and I'll try to look for it. I'll see if I'm familiar with it. But I'm familiar with this stuff, okay? So you pick a topic that you have some background with, right? Something that might be related to your hobby per se, okay? That's why I'm saying something of your interest, okay? And yeah, was a query, can you put anything that you look for? Well, yeah, but you want to make sure that what you look for is in your articles. Like, I know that WebMD has a lot of articles on the blood pressure and on a body mass index, right? So I knew that the site has it, so that's the reason how I did it. I knew that the site has that information, so I could use my search query. Well, if you go to WebMD and if you search for BMI, right, you'll find articles on it. That means that my collection should have something on it, right? So, but the query, yes, you put what you're looking for, but if I put, it doesn't necessarily mean that I get results, you know. If I put something like something irrelevant, right? Like a carpenter, I don't know if I'm gonna get the results for this. Maybe there is an article about something happened, like health issues that the carpenters had, something like that, you know, but you need to know which sites are relevant to what you're searching for. Well, if you tell me the topic, I will see if I can come up with something. This is like being creative. It's your topics that you know well, that you have a good background in, perhaps, right? Well, it's you're not Yelena Butinskaya, you're yourself, right? So you want to put your personality through your chatbot. It does not have to be, and it should not be a copy of this. It's not Mr. BMI. It's not Yelena Butinskaya, you know. This is you, okay? Okay, it does not work. Jean, when it says it does not work, you need to elaborate because, so you mentioned that it shows see the agent message, right? Well, yeah, because you want to make sure that you specify what you're searching for. You want to make sure that your repository, in fact, has articles on a topic. Okay, oops. And another thing I forgot, ignore this, okay? It says that some documents are failed, just ignore this, don't worry. Because maybe some documents are password protected, maybe, because they failed, but it does not matter because I have enough documents to work with. And yeah, you need to give it time to run because how are you going to check? How are you going to run the search skill if this repository is not ready? You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So I use the WebMD web page, but those are some of the tags that it picked up for me, but I can add my own too. So this is how you can improve this. You can add your own tags. Why not? Right? Well, okay. How do we ensure that the user uses the search skill? The search skill will be called when the user reaches a certain point in the dialog. Okay. Well, yeah, it could be the answer to the question, or it could be something. Sometimes you put it in anything else note. Perhaps if the question was not answered, you may want to put something. It depends on the implementation, but in this case, that's a good application when you want to explain something, when you want to provide some guidelines, but the guidelines are subject to change. Like I said, the CPR, if any of you CPR certified, I am. But if any of you have a CPR, which is good to have, right? You know that there are changes in guidelines due to COVID, right? So you want to show the user the latest ones, latest and greatest, okay? You don't want to show what was there a few years ago when we did not have COVID, etc. So that's a good application. You want to show the current. You want to show articles perhaps that were published maybe like last week. I don't know, because the web page content always changing, right? That's the whole idea. You don't want to do hard coding information, all right? Well, is it gonna reach the search skill? Well, in your paper, you're gonna explain the scenarios. You're gonna explain what the search skill is called, right? So the instructor is going to check your chatbot. He's gonna, and he will see when the search skill is called, because when the search skill is called, you're gonna see this. Oops. So, oh, this is a Mr. Cold, right? This is a Mr. Cold. I don't have it implemented in the Mr. Cold. So, oops. What I have to, I can go back skills, and I can show you, because look, this is a Mr. Oops, I have to go to assistant actually. If I go back to my assistant, see this? This is the assistant, Elena Health Center. And if I go into this preview link, right? I click on this here. See this? In here, I'm gonna select an option and I'm gonna say, what is the blood pressure? It's over here. Now it's gonna show me. It's gonna show the first, this is a hard-coded text, right? This is a chart, it's an image. And here are the articles, see? I don't want to be hard-coding the guidelines, because when the guidelines change, I would have to go back and edit my chatbot implementation. So I want this to pull this dynamically. And see here, I can do show more results. It shows like a summary, and then I can click and see the actual article on this, right? So yes, what is your blood pressure? Yeah, it's calling the search skill, because, well, what is the blood pressure? It's catching the explain intent, right? Because here, what this does is basically the selection of what is the blood pressure is equivalent to calling the explain intent blood pressure entity. It's equivalent to just typing this. What will happen is this, it's behind the scene. When I select explain blood pressure, it's gonna go to my dialog, right? In the dialog implementation over here, see this Studio Mr. BMI Help Center. Look, it's gonna go whenever it sees something like what is the blood pressure, it's gonna fire this one. Explain. See this folder, the whole folder is triggered by explain intent. Then it's gonna see that my entity is the blood pressure, right? So it's gonna go into this node. right? It means it satisfied this node entry condition, because the node entry condition is what? Explain an intent, explain intent, and then the topic, blood pressure. Topic is an entity, blood pressure is the value of an entity, right? So it meets this condition. Since it meets this condition, it's going to go through and show all of these responses. Oh, you can have multiple response types. Here I have a text, I have a chart, and then in here, this is a call of the search skill. See this? This is a search skill. There are different response type, and make sure that it's not connect to an engine, it's not text, it's not option, it's a search skill. And this is where you actually call in the search skill that you have created, because when you add the search skill to assistant, right, you can add only one search skill, only one dialog skill, right? So it knows which search skill to call, and your search skill is connected to the discovery service repository, all right? So, well, it might take for you a little bit of time to digest. You will need to watch this more than once. It's becoming a bit clearer. Yes, it will. And there is also an example about the COVID, and I think the link is in the slides. There is an example. Can you upload the documents? Yes, excellent. Yes, you can upload the documents. You can build the repository through uploading the documents. The problem is the documents that I upload, they're just one-time thing, right? How would I refresh? I would have to re-upload, right? But when I use the web, I'm getting the newest information. You see, yes, you can build, there are many ways to build this repository. You can upload the documents. Well, as you follow the instructions to add the service, there are multiple options to choose from, right? So you see the different sources for the information, yes, but I decided that we do this, the web, because the web, it changes and you get the latest and greatest, okay? Oh, so can you show how to call search skills on another node? Okay, sure. So another node is, yes, I had it added in 2 nodes. This is a BMI. And what's gonna happen here is this. First of all, this whole folder is gonna be triggered by explain intent, right? This node is explain intent, and also the topic entity and the value of the topic entity is going to be the BMI. Now, when this happens, I want to do this. I want to first show the picture, then I want to show the text. Okay, this is a hard-coded text. After that, I want to call the search skill, okay, over here. And I specify this, body mass index. You may have to play with the keyword. You may have to play with the keyword you use, okay? Okay, well, it's gonna take a while, okay? You have to create the intent. No, you don't need to create the intent. Jean, you don't need to create the intent, but you have to have a dialog node. I have an intent explain. Initially, a couple semesters ago, this chatbot was developed almost like this, except there was no call for the search skill. There was no call for the search skill. I added this. There is no specific intent that you need to call this, but it's called within the dialog node. Explain, yes, explain is the intent, that's correct. Explain is the intent that gets triggered. And when the intent gets triggered, this is what happens, okay? When the explain intent get triggered, this is what happens, all right? And you could, perhaps you could have, if it's COVID, you could have user asking specific questions about the COVID, and a search skill would go through the repository and pull the information from there. Yes, it could be the collection of files, yes, but the thing is it does not get updated. We want latest and greatest because the guidelines change at all times, right? So how do I trigger the intent? Well, okay, well, when you say that you want to do something, it triggers the intent. intent is the action that is recognized in your conversation. So here it is. Look, I see this, right? What I could do is this. I could type this. What is BMI, right? I do what is BMI. Watson is trying to see what I want to do. See, it thinks that I'm trying to estimate my BMI. See this? It thinks that it's calling an intent to estimate the BMI. That's what it's doing right now. See this intent, right? And it's gonna do it's catching that I want to do something, estimate something with a BMI. Then, if you look at the dialog, the node has an entry condition. See, the node where I'm doing this estimate BMI, it has an entry condition over here. BMI intent. It codes the BMI intent. Then it's gonna go inside this node and it's gonna do what it says. What does it say here? Okay, did user enter a number? No. Okay, now it's asking for the height in inches, for the how many pounds I weigh. And based on that, it's gonna prepare the response here. It's gonna respond based on what I type. And then, that's it. I specify what to do next, etc. Well, in this case, what I did here, I created well, I don't want the conversation to end, so I sort of like kind of created the child node that displays the menu options without the options that I just did, because I don't want to end the conversation. That's what it's doing here. Well, you're not gonna have something this complex. I was adding to it. In the beginning, as I said, it was just getting a number from someone. Okay? Okay, what? Sorry, I'm not clear, but what do you mean? Can you explain? Because, well, what I'm trying to say is that how to use the node to trigger? Well, I have a chatbot, right? This is a chatbot. This is a chatbot. When I launch my chatbot, the chatbot put an introduction. Good evening, I'm Mr. BMI calculator. How may I help you? From here, you can type what you want to do, or you can select an option. It's user-friendly. It's giving you an options of what you can do, right? It's gonna read my sentence that I enter. It's gonna extract the natural language from the sentence that I type. And based on that, it's gonna go to the dialog and see where is that piece of logic that should kick on. For every single node, there is an entry condition that specifies when the logic in that node gets executed. When the conversation starts, the welcome condition is triggered. It goes to the welcome node. All right. So it's doing like this. When you enter something, right? When you specify what you want to do, it's gonna start from the top. It's gonna say, okay, does Yelena's input match this condition? No. Keep going. Does it match this condition? No. Keep going. Does it match BMI? Yes. So let's go inside. Let's see what's in there. Let's execute. What's in here? I see 2 slots. So I have to ask to enter the height, right? I cannot continue. It's a required slot. So I have to keep on asking either until she decides to quit, which is handler does, right? I can quit, right? Or I can ask for clarification, but the conversation cannot go on otherwise. And here it responds based on my answer. So this is what's happening. Does it make sense? Oh boy. Oh boy. When I create a node, no, okay. Well, okay.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
So I understand how to trigger normal node, right? But when like the user put the input, how I trigger the search skill to work. I think that what I have hard time, for example, if I create, like, for example, if I create something like looking for the flight, and they say, okay, looking for the flight to San Francisco, the input of the user will be different, right?
Well,
So
but you have to have repository. You have to have this. You have to have a collection of documents that you build on it.
yeah, so that what is like, yeah, I
Yeah.
have that. Like, for example, if I have kayak, right? So I import it in and everything. But the problem with it is for me to trigger the search skill to work in the node, I do actually have hard time to.
Okay. Okay. So this is a service. The service has its ID, and this is a repository. This is a repository name within the service. When you create the new search skill, you are pointing to the discovery service, and you're pointing to the repository inside the discovery service. So if I go in here, see this, the skill, I created this. At the time when I create your skill, this is a search skill. At the time when I created it, I specified the repository. Here, this is a service that it's hooked to. And this is a collection within the service, right? That's a collection that I just showed you that it's hooked in here. Then what I have to do is I need to go to my conversation. I go to my conversation skill, which is a BMI, Mr. BMI Health Center. This is my conversation. So let's think about it. When do I want this to go to my repository to search for it? When does it want to happen? It wants to happen when a user asked about information, right? In my case, I want to do it when the user asked for information. There are different types of response. See this BMI, there is a response type called the search skill, okay? This is a response type called the search skill. This will call the correct search skill because what you'll need to do is this, you have to add the search skill and this skill to assistant. You have to create an assistant, and you have to add this search skill and the dialog skill to assistant, then it will connect. But over here, well, I saw the screenshot in the ticket. You have to specify the criteria. This is the criteria. See, well, I saw it was like this. Probably you need to click here. You have to specify criteria, the query. See this? I did not see the query in the screenshot.
So I did put it in and I did take it out. So I take a few times. But like when you create another node, not this one. So I got this far, right? But when, like, for example, when you ask for people hire and everything, how that, like, what the code you use, say, hey, pull information
It will
from this. No, right?
do it. Okay, that is what it is. You can figure it like this, right? So that's gonna call the search skill. But look at this. This is a trick. This is an assistant. Look, this is an assistant. It has only one search skill. So assistant does the magic for you. This is an assistant. You're gonna create an assistant. And to that assistant, you're gonna add this dialog skill and a search skill that is being called. You have to make sure that you added your search skill to assistant. Does that make sense?
It's kind of, but I try. I try again. Please work.
Okay. When you create an assistant, you need to add the dialog skill and the search skill. Your dialog calls the search skill, right?
Yes.
You have to, when you create a new assistant, you need to add the dialog skill that calls the search skill and the search skill that was called. You have to add them both to the assistant, otherwise it's not gonna work. You have this is the way. But did you add those two?
I can't remember that I add the dialogue to the
Okay, so
assistant. I have to check.
let's do this. Go ahead and review. And if it does not work, then Lineage and myself, we can do the screen share tomorrow night. And see, because well, the thing is, see, when you do it, you need to After that, you need to create new assistant. And then to test, you have to use this preview link. Okay, you have to use the preview link. You cannot add the tried link, because if I do this, look, if I do this, if I go in here, the dialog, and if I click on a try it, no, this is no way, it's not gonna work.
Yeah, I tried on that.
No, this is
that
not
link.
gonna work. This is not gonna work. Well, it just tells me that it's integrated with a search skill. There's no, you need to use a preview link to test this. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so I did try the link, but it said like connect you to the live agent instead. So that's why I was like I confused. But I can try to look again. I might make mistake
No.
that I missed it. That I missed it.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, because you have to add this dialog and a search skill to assistant. Otherwise, it won't work. The assistant hooks them up. You see what I'm saying? The assistant links the dialog skill and the search skills that you're calling from the dialog. Because there is only one search skill and there is only one dialog skill in assistant. You cannot have two.
I think I found what it is because I don't think I add my dialogue to my assistant. I only have search skill in my
You have to add the dialog. You have to add the dialog.
Okay.
Otherwise, yeah, if your dialog is not part of the assistant, what is it gonna do? It's not gonna work.
Okay. Okay. So I will go back to check. I might be able to do that.
Unfortunately, yes, you have to add both. Yeah. And yes, it's totally new application here. Because what you did in the walkthrough, this is just to help you learn the information. The purpose of the walkthrough is like step by step, it's a tutorial. You follow this, you get familiar with the vocabulary, you get familiar with the concepts, and then you're gonna build your own application. Because how did I start it? For me, I took there was a former cognitive class, now they renamed it. There is a web page where there is a course on the chatbots, free course. So first to start, I watched those videos, right? So they were doing a flower shop application. I watched the examples. This is how I started. And after that, I said, okay, let me see if I can start doing something on my own. Things like that, you know. First, I think you use the same process in your other coursework, right? Data 630 at least, where you were given step by step, right? You follow through it, you learn, and then you use new data, right? Or build new application. But I hope I answered your question, Anna, because, well, you have to build your own application. Yes, it has to be something that you're interested in. You see what I'm saying? Like, some people do ticket purchase, restaurant reservation, things like that. So perhaps you could use something like menus, or you can use something like a nutrition information. Perhaps there could be something like new site that does the nutrition questions, etc. This is your implementation. It's your opportunity to be creative. Remember that you're not Yelena Butinskaya, you know, you're yourself. Once you put your personality through this, trust me, you'll get the work done. But the hardest part is probably to get started. Yeah, but that's the reason you have 3 weeks, because you have to learn the vocabulary. Now you have to apply. See? Yes, the connection part, yes, it's complex, but that's the reason why you've got 2 TAs. You got me and Lanesh. See? Because some courses, some graduate courses don't have TAs. Here you do, because your assignments are this complex. You use a lot of software, right? So that's why you have TAs. You have this valuable resource. And Linesh, he actually graduated from this program. So yeah. I mean, Linesh, is there anything you would like to add? Is there anything that you think you could explain differently?
No, I think this was deep and thorough. And no, nothing more to add, I think. But yeah, if there's anything more, anyone needs some more explanation or anything of that sort, or kind of stuck at any point, as Yarana mentioned, we can definitely help, create a ticket, and we can certainly, provide that help to you.
Yeah.
But please remember to respond back to us, if one way or the other, so we know that, either it worked for you or it did not, or it's still not making sense to you. So please do that.
Oh, well, I'll look at this. You may search the documents, but the reason we did not go that route is a document is static. Web pages change. You know, you want what you do, you want it to reflect the latest information. Like my favorite example was a CPR. And in fact, well, I have active CPR. I retook it this summer, and they were saying that because of the COVID, the new guidelines, you can do the compression only. If you don't want to do two rescue breaths, that's fine. You can do compression only. Before there was a stress on compression, but they also said you have to do two rescue breaths, right? Those things change. If I took the book that American Heart Association gives, if I take online version of this book and hard code it into the repository, then this little change, well, the change related to COVID guidelines won't appear. It won't appear when the user asks for information. So that's the reason we decided to go with the web, because you want to have latest information, latest and greatest. In fact, for the COVID, the guidelines change all the time regarding like masks. And now they discovered that six foot distance might not be enough, that the virus lingers in the air. Well, things like that. See, you get more information gets found, and you want to make sure that you're showing the user latest and greatest. See what I'm saying? So yeah. Well, you need to find the web page with information related to your topic. So that's the reason why I'm telling you to choose something that you are familiar with, right? Something of your hobby. If you like to read about something, that you know where you go to read, right? I mean, I hope the reason makes sense. Linus, does it make sense? I mean, did they
Yeah,
explain it
yeah,
clearly?
it does.
Yeah,
Yep, it does.
because I don't want to see like yes, okay, yeah, so that's the reason. I mean, yeah, it's gonna take some time to run, but you don't have to sit at your computer when it runs. Who said that you have to sit at your computer all night? You just leave your laptop and you go, well, your laptop must be, probably it has to be turned on, I think. Yeah, but you just leave it and you go, you have a nice, night, and you wake up in the morning, it will be done. That's what I did.
I have another quick question.
Yes.
You were showing us the conversation scenarios as a bulleted list, and you mentioned that there's a lecture. I wasn't sure if I caught that correctly. There's a lecture on the conversation scenarios provided in the content area. Is there?
Oh, in the content area, that's how to interpret this analytics. This one.
No, for the conversation scenarios. When we're describing the different avenues that someone may take for using the chatbot.
This is you're gonna have your own. You're gonna have different scenarios. Those are it's in here. This is for the Mr. BMI, right? This is what I created for Mr. BMI. In here, the scenarios for Mr. BMI, and
So should our scenarios be a bulleted list that includes images, or how should we present it?
It could be the description, because see, this is not a paper, this is a slide. So I'm not gonna put a big narrative in a presentation, but you want to make sure that it's readable. You know what I'm saying? So
okay,
I'm gonna leave it up to, well, instructors. How do you want this to be? Do you want this to be bulleted or the paragraph? Your preference. I'll let the instructor answer it, but the thing is, let's focus on the content. You have to explain the chatbot purpose, right? The mission of your chatbot. Well, this is generic. You want to focus more on also on the benefits of your specific application, right? In addition to this. I got lazy here. I should have spelled it out. Okay. Well, I decided to put it with images because this is a PowerPoint presentation. Okay. Oh, you ask it won't log out when it keeps running? Well, I think, Jean, I think it's running on the server. I think that's my thought. So even if you log out, it will still continue. I would think so. But for me, the way I did it is that I just left the computer alone. Then in the morning I checked and it was done. So, and it also depends on which site you use as an input. It depends on the site that you use, you know. But you won't, well, first of all, there is a limit on number of documents you can index. But at the same time, you don't want it to be just 5 documents. You want it to be rich collection. Otherwise, yeah, the assignment won't. Oh, yours is over. Yeah, that's excellent. But this is excellent, over 1,000. Yes. Then it should be catching what you specify. If the collection is on what if the collection is relevant to what you specify. Okay. Well, I'm familiar with several topics, so feel free to just tell me what your topic is, and I will see if I'm familiar with the web page. Okay, I'm familiar with the related sites, but in terms of this, yes, I'm familiar with NASM and ASM, NASM magazine. That one has a lot of the sports, a lot of fitness articles, and then I'm familiar with WebMD, which is the a lot of medical stuff. Yeah. A lot of interesting stuff, right? Because now it's a COVID time. You probably want to know the symptoms, understand all of this, what's going on. Yeah. Okay. I think we had excellent questions. And
Yeah, by the excellent question, I think, of course, this is one of the most exciting work you have to do in this program, because it's just use your creativity as something and make it fun, in addition to apply what we study, in addition to learn applying this new technology available at hand. I think this is one of the most exciting and fun and enjoyable uh, assignment you have, and just use your creativity. Everywhere you can find application of this type um, of bots.
oh yeah, this is yeah. But I think it was a good idea that we posted the last semester recording, so that way people could watch a little bit. Yeah.
And all these sessions, they are more useful if you already have started working and you actually are assimilating everything, because if you just haven't started, the usefulness of this session is not so big. So I think we did this time at the right moment, just
Yeah.
a week before.
It's like me starting to speak Russian here. Same thing, right? Right, Yelena?
What?
If I start speaking Russian, it's the same thing as me teaching this when people have not done the reading.
Yeah.
Like language, because it's a yeah. There's a lot of vocabulary in here, so yeah.
Because there are many new concepts, many new stuff. It's not the traditional, let's say, it's not the traditional data analytic work we do from the beginning up to here in the program. This is just how things evolve with the natural language processing, with the cognitive application, with all these things, and all they are based on big data. So on big data and machine learning. So
Yeah. Yeah. But the thing is, yeah, like if it's running, no, it won't. Actually, it refreshes itself. Mine is set to refresh every month, I think. Yeah, because I did not want it to do refresh while I'm showing this. So, yeah. And I don't need to be online while it's refreshing. So, yeah. Yeah.
but I think we are over an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if people are tired, don't stay. This just has to be useful as you wish. If you have question, you can ask question. If they are not question, we just not holding people.
Should we begin to try to load our search skill now? in case we come up against some issues?
If you know what you're searching for. Oh wait, how are you gonna do it? You won't be able to call the search skill. You have to have the dialog created.
Okay.
Well, you could run it at night while you're sleeping, let it run, so you know it does not impact anything else. Well, this is what I did. First, I was like, okay, let me see, let me quickly go run. It's gonna finish. I'm looking at it. 15 minutes, not done. 1 hour, not done. So I'm like, forget about it. Let me check in the morning. You know. Well, I learned it but just by trying it, by experimenting, watching the video and then trying. That's what I did. So if I could do it, then you can. I'm confident. Right? Is Professor Ozan here too? No, I don't know.
No, I don't see also.
Oh, okay. Maybe he was earlier.
Maybe he was and well, yeah, maybe he was and just left already.
Yeah, because it was a long session. I did not anticipate this, but I mean, I knew there are gonna be questions, but
Well, I think I'm going to stop the
Yes.
recording, and if you wish to stay
I'll
if
say
there
we're
are more
done.
questions, but if they are not, we don't have to
Stay.
hold this, yes.
Yeah, but I can tell